Welcome to this Wednesday, February 5th, Algebra 1 Homework Help live stream. And we're going to get started today from, we got a question from page 507, number 25. And I've got that question pasted here in OneNote. Just let people get connected. Okay, so we're looking here at number 25. Can you guys see it? Awesome. So here is the first thing we have to do. Unfortunately, we're not currently in standard form. Standard form looks like this. AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0. This is the culprit right here. This rascal needs to move over to the left side of the equal sign. So can somebody tell me how to move negative 32 to the left side of the equal sign? That is exactly right. That is called an inverse operation. So we're going to put plus 32 and plus 32 on the left. Justify that using the addition property of equality. If we rewrite the quadratic at this point, we have x squared minus 18x plus 32 equals 0. And now we are in standard form. So when we get into standard form, our first task is to identify A, B, and C. So I'll put A equals, B equals, C equals. So help me identify A, B, and C. That's right, and we call that the quadratic term. So I want you to start using your words here. So instead of saying the x squared part, tell me the coefficient. You repeat after me. The coefficient of the quadratic term is 1. Because there's nothing written there, so we assume it to be a positive 1. So I'm going to write A equals 1. Now, to the other person that I'm talking to, okay, because I'm not going to use names. What is B? Okay. Correct. And what's C? Anybody? Positive 32? That's correct. So C is positive 32. So let's do our analysis, okay? So I'm going to write some things down and I'll abbreviate. So BC means because. Because A equals 1, simple factoring works. So I'm going to write simp fac, check. That means that we're going to be able to use the little trick that we know and we don't have to do anything else. So I have to justify this. Now, because C is positive, both factors have the same sign. Okay? let me just check one quick thing. Still talking good. All right. Now, because C is positive and B is negative, both factors, both factors will be negative. Okay. Now, I'm going to do another one. Because A is greater than 0, the shape of the graph will be an upward sloping curve. And because C is the y-intercept is 32. So amazingly, we can tell all of this information just by looking at the equation in standard form. And that's pretty amazing. So now we're actually going to play our little game. And by the way, you don't have to list out those 5 things every time. However, if you did list them out every time, after you did that about 10 or 20 times, you would be an expert, okay? Because you would be analyzing the equation itself, and you'd almost be able to answer the question before you even did any work. So now that we've done our analysis, we're going to play our game. And our game is blank plus blank equals B, and blank times blank equals C. And we're going to substitute in there B, which you told me was negative 18, and C, which you told me was positive 32. So what we're trying to do is think of 2 numbers that add to be negative 18 and multiply to be positive 32. Now, I am not a fan of asking students to just guess it, because we don't want to guess, right? So let me show you how to do this in a way where you will never, ever miss the answer because you can't think of it on your own. Take C and write it down, 32. And what we're going to do is prime factor this number, starting with the smallest prime factor into which this number can be evenly divided, which would be 2. And here I'm just going to take a moment to list the prime numbers: 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. And you won't need any bigger than that, okay? You won't need any prime numbers really bigger than 7. I mean, if you're getting above 11, we should probably dial down the difficulty level of the problem, all right? But what times 2 equals 32? Okay. All right, now let's break down 16. The smallest prime number into which 16 can be evenly divided is also 2, because 16 is an even number, so the prime number will always be 2 for even numbers. What times 2 is 16? 8. 8's even, so we can break 8 down into 2 times what? 4. And we can break 4 down into 2 times 2. So now you have fully factored this down to prime numbers. Let me show you what that means. That means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equals 32. Okay? Now we're going to use this factor tree to help us build what's called a product list. Watch how I do this. So let me take these first 2 factors, 2 times 16. We know they equal 32. 2 times 16. I'm going to list it right out to the right of the factor tree. Now watch how I do this. Now I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 8. So 2 times 2 is 4. That's my first factor. Times 8. Because 4 times 8 also equals 32. And now I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 4. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 4 is 32. So now I'm just going to list out 8 times 4. So we've repeated ourselves, but that's okay. And now I'm going to do this again. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 to the 4th power is 16. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. 16 times 2. So here's what we've done. Now this seems kind of silly for this particular problem because very few numbers factor down to nothing but 2s. So this one kind of repeated itself. But the reason we use this factor tree with the prime numbers is because you will sometimes miss one because you won't remember it. Okay. For example, if you had to think of two numbers that multiplied together to give you 156, it wouldn't immediately come to mind what every single different way that you could multiply two numbers together to get that. But if you use the factor tree method, you'll always find every factor pair. Now, let me show you what we're going to do with this. We already know that both of our factors will be negative because we did our analysis up here. Because C was positive and B was negative, both factors will be negative. So we're going to go in here and put negative signs in front of every single factor. And if it's lagging, just wait for it to catch up so you see all those negative signs. And now, once it catches up, and I'm going to wait for it to catch up, just there's going to be dead radio silence for a second. Tell me when it's caught up. Oh, okay. That'd do it. Okay. D and J. Tell me this. What is -2 plus -16? -18. So my first factor pair adds to -18. What's my second factor pair add to? -4 plus -8. Yep, -12. And -8 plus -4, same thing, -12. -16 plus -2, -18. Okay? What number were we looking for? Yeah, so we were looking for -18. So again, this problem is weird because the product pair is duplicated, and that only happens when you have perfect square roots like this. Not perfect square roots, but perfect roots. So the thing is, this is a unique problem because the fifth root of 32 is 2. And so that's why these factor pairs repeat. But anyway, so our factors are -2 and -16. So we're going to go back up and fill out our little table. -2, -16. -2, -16. We're always going to check to make sure that this works. So -2 plus -16 is -18. -2 times -16, negative times negative is a positive. 2 times 16 is 32. Yes, it all works great. So now that we're done, we're going to scooch back up here to the original quadratic, and we're going to rewrite this standard form quadratic into the factored form of a quadratic equation. Over here, I'm going to write out what factored form means. Okay, and you guys understand that I'm taking a lot of time on this because I'm using it as a teaching problem as well as just answering your question. It would normally take about 2 minutes to do this, but we're gonna take our time so we get an understanding. Okay, so factored form is y equals open parentheses x minus p close parentheses x minus q close parentheses. So that's just another way to write a quadratic equation. Don't worry about that for now. What I want you to worry about for now is to go back underneath where we wrote 1x squared minus 18x plus 32 equals 0. And I want you to do big open parentheses, big close parentheses, big open parentheses, big close parentheses equals 0. And now the leading coefficient is 1. So we're just going to put x and x in those binomial expressions. And we remember our analysis. We said that because c was positive, both factors would have the same sign. And because c was positive and b was negative, they would both be negative. So we're going to go in there and put x minus and x minus. So we're setting the stage now where we're just going to plug in the number itself that we found. So we found that our two factors were negative 2 and negative 16. So just put in there, because you already got your minus signs in there, guys. Just put in there 2 and 16, just like this. Tell me when the stream catches up to where it's all filled out. Oh, wait, I can look at it. I should just be looking at it. What am I doing? Okay, perfect. Now you see it all, right? Okay, so now we're going to solve this quadratic equation by setting each of our binomial factors equal to 0. So we're going to take x minus 2 equals 0. And x minus 16 equals 0. All right? And we're going to solve for x. Both of these little problems, we're going to do plus 2 on both sides for the first little equation. And that cancels out the 2 on the left, leaving x by itself equal to 2. And then on the right side there with the x minus 16 equals 0, what would I need to do to get x by itself? Well, wait, don't help. Don't anybody help. Okay, nobody say anything. Who is talking to me right now? Okay, here's what I want you to do. Oh, okay. What I want you to do is I want you to read the equation out loud. X minus, say it. And look what we did there. In order to move the 2 over to the right side, you said x minus 2 equals 0. And so look what we did to move it to the right side. We added 2 to both sides. So whatever the sign is that goes with the number you're trying to move, you just... Yes, I do. Yes, I do. That's exactly. Yes, very good. So plus 16 on both sides of the equation. And that cancels out the 16s on the left. And we have x equals 16. Okay, I'm going to highlight these numbers because I want to show you something right now. Remember how I talked about this factored form? Okay, I want to bring this guy down here because I want to show you something really cool. I'm going to take x equals 2. I'm going to take the 2, and I'm going to move this homeboy over here, and I'm going to stick him where P was. And then I'm going to take the 16, and I'm going to go stick him where Q was. Okay, now watch this. This is pretty cool. So now when I replace P with 2 and Q with 16, look what I get. I get y equals, open parentheses, x minus 2, close parentheses, open parentheses, x minus 16. Now, compare that with what you come up with when you factored the quadratic. It's the same thing. Isn't that interesting? Now, here's a question, and I'm going to throw this question out there, and I want to see if you can answer it, okay? How do you know that we did it right? How could you check your answer? Yes, there are. You're on the right track, okay? Here's what I want you to say with me, okay? To check my answer, I will evaluate the quadratic equation at each solution. So let me show you what that looks like, okay? First, let's bring the entire quadratic equation down. So let me get a different pen color, and I'm going to move this guy all the way down here. X squared minus 18x plus 32 equals 0. We're going to write that again. X squared minus 18x plus 32 equals 0. Okay, so this is the part where we're going to check our answer. Or answers. Okay? And now, what I want you to do is replace the x with parentheses. So it looks like this. Open parentheses, close parentheses, squared, minus 18, open parentheses, close parentheses, plus 32 equals 0. Do you see what I wrote there? Or maybe it's catching up. Okay. That's right. And so the question is, if we plug in our solution into our original quadratic equation, we should have a correct mathematical sentence, a true mathematical statement should be achieved. So can you tell me what was one of our answers that we got? We got 2 of them. What was one of them? Was it -2 or was it +2? So here's what we need to talk about for a second. Your factor was -2 and -16. Your solutions were +2 and +16. So make sure you distinguish between factors and solutions. So one of our solutions was +2. What I want to do now is inside those parenthetical, those two parentheses there, I'm going to put a 2. Okay? Now let me ask you a question. What's 2 squared? 4. 4 minus, what's 18 times 2? Correct. So I've got 4 minus 36, and then we just bring down the plus 32, and we set it equal to 0, but above the equal sign we put a question mark because we want to find out, is it? So let's do it together. What is 4 minus 36? It's the same thing as taking 36 minus 4 and then putting a minus sign in front. -32. So let me ask you a question. Is -32 plus 32 equal to 0? Because -32 plus 32 is 0. So when you check your answer, you should always be able to get 0 equals 0. And you just ask yourself, is that a true statement? Yes, it is. And so you know your solution is correct. Okay? So we do it for the other one too, okay? Only on this problem, because otherwise, it would take forever. But I want to show you how to do the full turn of the wheel, and then you can choose how fast you go after this. Now, what was the other solution? 16. So I'm going to stick a 16 in there. So now we need to figure out what 16 squared is. I don't know it off the top of my head. So I'm going to do 16 times 16 over in side work. So 6 times 6 is 36. 1 times 6 is 6 plus 3 is 9. And then we go do 6 times 1 is 6. And 1 times 1 is 1. We add that together. So we have 6, 5, carry the 1, and 2. 256. So 16 times 16 is 256. Do you agree? Awesome. So what I'm going to write down is 256 minus, and now I got to do 18 times 16. Eight times 6 is 48. 6 times 1, 6 plus 4 is 10. And then 8 times 1 is 8. And 1 times 1 is 1. So 8, 8, 2. 18 times 16 is 288. Do you agree? Okay, so 256 minus 288 plus 32 equals 0. That is the question we want to know. Is this true or false? So now we have to take 288 and subtract 256 from it. And what we're hoping it is, we're hoping 288 minus 256 is 32. Okay, so 8 minus 6 is 2. 8 minus 5 is 3. 2 minus 2 is 0. Put a negative sign in front of it because we were doing the reverse. And so now we have negative 32 plus 32 equals 0. Negative 32 plus 32 is 0, so 0 equals 0. Double check, done. Now, one of the words that we use for what we call solutions to quadratic equations is we call them zeros. Do you remember me telling you that? We call them zeros. We call them roots. We call them solutions. And we call them x-intercepts. So let me ask you a question. Where, without even looking at the graph, where would this quadratic function, if graphed, cross the x-axis? It's going to cross at the solutions because the solutions are the x-intercepts. So tell me where it's going to cross the x-axis. Yes, they cross in two places. That's right. So let me show you something really cool. If we were to make a little graph, all right? We don't know anything, right? But we do know that this quadratic equation has a y-intercept of positive 32. And we know that it crosses the x-axis at 2 and at 16. Okay? So I'm going to draw a picture. Are you looking at the live stream? Okay, so I'm going to draw a picture now so you can see what this graph actually looks like. Something like that. Pretty cool, huh? Are you looking at it? Oh, okay. So, yes, we have taken an enormous amount of time to do this one problem, but this is called inquiry-based learning. So here's the deal. I'm not going at my pace. I'm going at your pace. And so that's why I'm so proud of you. No, it's not why it took a while. It's why I'm proud of you, because you didn't give up on the problem. And I can tell you something right now, that if we took a little trip into the Algebra 2 classes, all right, and we asked these questions, there'd be a lot of blank stares. So I can tell you this, if you keep at this, all right, and you take your time and never try to rush ever. I would rather you come to me and say, hey, I did 4 problems in 2 hours and then I just couldn't do it. I was tired. And I know you assigned 10. And you know what I'd say? I would say, let me see your work. And then I see all this great work and I would say, that's perfect. That's your level. So just I don't want you to feel pressured by the volume of problems to rush. So make sure you take your time, and that if you ever get stuck on a problem, you contact me so we can do that intervention right then. Now, would you like to do another one at 10 times the speed? Okay, let's do another one at 10 times the speed. So we're going to go back to our problem set in the textbook, and you can pick one out. In fact, let me show you some different ones so you can, so you don't necessarily have to do any ones that you already did. Here, pick one from 12 through 19 to do. from 12, the problems that are 12 through 19. Just pick one that you want to do. Awesome. Oh, this is even good. This is even a good one because we have to do some rearranging. Now, I'm going to show you in this problem, without all of the theoretical explanation, we're going to show you actually how fast can you solve the problem just doing normal work, okay? So let me just indicate for other viewers, this is number 12 from page 507. All right, let me paste it in here. I just want to tell you you're doing great, okay? You're doing great. So the very first thing we need to do is just artificially set this equal to 0, because right now it's not an equation, it's just an expression. So go ahead and put equals 0. I'm going to rewrite the whole thing. We have 44 plus 15h plus h squared equals 0. Okay, before we do anything else, we have to get this in standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And what that means is that the h squared term needs to go first, followed by the 15h, and then the 44. So I'm going to do a little rearranging, and I'm going to write h squared plus 15h plus 44 equals 0. Let me know when you're caught up. Yeah. So look at my screen and write down h squared plus 15h plus 44 equals 0. That's right. Okay, so now we're going to jump through all the hoops, okay? We need two numbers that add to equal 15. Those same two numbers need to multiply to equal 44. So we're going to break down 44. That's 2 times 22 and 2 times 11. So all my possible combinations of factors are 2 and 22 and 4 and 11. Now, both of them will be positive because C is positive and H is positive. So we just have to add 2 plus 22. What's that? I did. $24. Is 24 equal to 15? So 24 is not equal to 15. Let's try the next factor pair. What's 4 plus 11? So 15 equals 15. That means that 4 and 11 are our factors. So we'll go fill out our little table with 4 and 11 and 4 and 11. Now we go back to the problem and do open parentheses, close parentheses, open parentheses, close parentheses equals 0. And we fill out this as h plus 4 and h plus 11. And to solve these, what we do is we take each little binomial and set it equal to 0. So h plus 4 equals 0 and h plus 11 equals 0. Now you have to solve both of these little tiny equations. What's going on? Oh, okay. No, right now, and I want to make sure we're looking at the same thing here. I want you to solve the equation h plus 4 equals 0 for h. So h equals -4. And if we subtract 11 from both sides, we have h equals -11. So those are your two answers. That's where this equation will cross the x-axis. Can you tell me before we go, where will it cross the y-axis? Hold up. It's the number that's in the position where we would call it C. C is the y-intercept. Yeah, don't push him, don't rush. That's the one thing we don't want to do. Just take your time. I'm in no hurry, man. We have to find out we have to label our, see, we skipped a step trying to hurry, and that's how we get in trouble. So we're going to identify A equals, B equals, C equals. What's A? What goes in front of the h squared? Yeah, I want you to say that the coefficient of the quadratic term is 1. What's B? Okay, so now that's not a quadratic term, so that's different, right? Only when you've got something squared do you call it quadratic. When it's just h by itself, you call that the linear term. So you can tell me, well, the linear coefficient, bruh, is 15. Okay? Now, you have to say it like this, though. You have to say the constant term is yep. The constant term is correct. Okay, now let me give you a little piece of information. Okay? C is the y-intercept. So when I asked you before, what is the y-intercept of this quadratic equation? Or I could ask it a different way. Where does this quadratic function cross the y-axis when graphed? What would you tell me? That's right. And can you tell me that as a coordinate pair? Would it be 0, 44 or 44, 0? Perfect. That's right. Hey, guess who's proud of you? Me. I'm very proud of you. Good job. Now listen, you have mastered, in my opinion, more than you need to know for where we are in first period. Okay? So tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to find out what happens when the number in front of the quadratic term, in other words, the quadratic coefficient, that number in front of h squared, if it was something other than 1, the process for solving this is just a little bit different, but it's not hard. It's just different. Okay? We add in an intermediate step in the middle of the process. So you are good to go for tomorrow. Now, I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and then I'm going to come back and do the general live stream for everybody, okay? And I'm going to solve all the problems from page 513 through 515. But I want to thank you, because not every student, or students, because there's 2 of you, not every student's, plural, would take the time to just work through a couple problems for an hour. And you will go very far if you keep this kind of work ethic up, and I'm really proud of you. Good job. All right, I'm going to hop off the phone, and then I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to keep the live stream running, but I'm going to go off mic and take a 5-minute break. Then when I come back, I'm going to start solving all the homework that I assigned periods 3, 4, 5, and 8, okay, which would be page 513 through 515, and there's like 10 problems, 9 problems, okay? All right, you guys have a great night, and I hope you stay on the live stream after you study for your Spanish, okay? Because you might be able to pick up some of this stuff if you watch it tonight, even though we're going to study it. I'm going to teach this stuff to you tomorrow, so don't feel like if you get lost, don't worry. Your first period hasn't had this instruction yet, okay? Okay, A+, guys. Thank you. Talk to you later. Okay, bye. Okay, for everybody else that's listening to the live stream, I am going to take a 5-minute break, and when I come back, we will start the general live stream. And we're going to say here, page 513, or we should say pages 513 through 515. Homework. Live stream. Begins in approximately 5 minutes. So everybody take a break and come back. We'll get started at about 6:50. I'm going to go off mic, but I'm going to leave the live stream running, and I'm going to get some sound. So we've got some background music for this live stream from our excellent folks over at No Copyright Sounds. So it's going to be the same mix from last night, since I know it's a clean mix and I'm not going to get a strike for it. And that would be this mix right here.
Sleep till I come home. Dream of something sweet. I will be there soon to wake you so discreet.
Okay, we are live. We are live. Let me turn this mic down a little bit. And let me turn the sound down. All right. Check the stream health. We're good to go. All right. Okay, 42 playbacks, 5 concurrent viewers. Excellent. All right. Let me get going. Here we go. Welcome, Sheridan. Welcome, John. John, I saw you have to leave. Man, I'm sorry about that. Just play it back later. You can probably do it already. Welcome, Nick. Welcome, Kennard. Welcome. Let's see who else is here. Welcome, Jay. Welcome, D&J. All right, guys. So hello to everybody. Let's get started on the homework here. And that homework came from the textbook. And it was page 513. So here's all the homework except for that one extra problem. I better go to the one where I actually put the ones we're going to do. Okay, these are the homework problems we're going to do here. Excellent. So we'll just start. We'll start with number 23. You guys tell me in live chat if the music is too loud or if you want me to turn it off. But these are some good tracks, so I think it makes it go. A good backing track is fun. So here's the first homework problem. All right. You can't hear anything. Check your volume, okay? See you, Jonathan. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Hi, Jasmine. Okay, so we'll get started here on number 23. Hey, Evan. So just tell me, you guys, can you hear me? Can you hear my voice? I'm just rewriting this problem bigger. And we have to solve this one. Okay, you can hear. Good. Just checking. All right. So here we go. The very first thing that we do in these problems is we identify A equals, B equals, C equals. So let's see. A equals 2. B equals 9. And C equals negative 18. What we should have done before we did that was verify that this is in standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. But just a quick visual analysis says that, yep, it's already in standard form. So we're ready to rock and roll. All right. So the first thing we have to do is find out what our master product is. The master product of this quadratic equation is equal to A times C. Well, if A is 2, and C is negative 18, then the master product is negative 36. And we'll abbreviate that MP, master product. So what I'm looking for, ladies and gentlemen, are two numbers that add to equal the B value, and those same two numbers need to multiply to equal the master product. Okay, so what that means is I need two numbers that add to equal positive 9, and they multiply those same two numbers to be negative 36. Now, we don't take chances when you're doing OG math, okay? So we're going to take the number 36, and we're going to break it down into prime numbers. 2 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 3. And I'm going to list out all of my possible product pairs. So 2 times 18 is 36. 2 times 2 times 9, that's 4 times 9, is also 36. And then 2 times 2 times 3, 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. So these are all of my different factor pairs that I could use. These are the only factor pairs of 36 that we could use. So what we want to do now is make sure, because the master product is a negative number, we know we have different signs. And what we're going to do is look at the B value. Okay, the B value is positive, so we know that the larger number has to be positive. So what I'm going to do is go in here and give a plus sign to the bigger number. So this will be plus to 18 and plus to 9 and plus to 12. And then I'm going to give a negative sign to the 2, the 4, and the 3. And we're going to add these together to see which one adds up to be 9, positive 9. So negative 2 plus 18, well, that's 16. That is not equal to 9, so we're not going to use that one. Now, negative 4 plus 9, ladies and gentlemen, is positive 5. But positive 5 is not equal to 9. But look at this one. Positive 12 plus negative 3 is positive 9. So 9 is equal to 9. These are my factor pairs, plus 12 and minus 3. What we're going to do next is split this middle coefficient. And we're going to split it into these two factor pairs that we found. We found 12x and negative 3x. So if I fill out this little table, it's 12 plus negative 3 and 12 times negative 3. So split those factor pairs up and then rewrite your entire quadratic. 2x squared plus 12x minus 3x minus 18 equals 0. So now this is called factoring by grouping. What we're going to do next is take parentheses and place it around our factors, okay? Or our factor pairs. And we're going to play a little game called Greatest Common Factor. And I should put this around the negative sign as well, okay? So now we're going to play a little game called Greatest Common Factor. What is the largest? Let's take a look at this first binomial here. I'm looking at this guy right here, okay? What is the largest number I can divide out of both terms of that binomial? Well, let's see. I spy a 2 and I spy an x. So I could pull a 2 and an x out of both of those. All right. Leaving behind x plus 6. Now over here, what I can pull out is a negative 3. If I pull out a negative 3 from both of those, I'll also have x plus 6 in that one. So when you do that, we're going to rewrite this now, and we're going to have 2x, open parentheses, and now we're actually going to perform this. 2x squared divided by 2x is x, plus 12 divided by 2 is 6, and x divided by x is 1, so it's just x plus 6. And now I will write minus 3, because that was my greatest common factor for that binomial. Open parentheses. Now, negative 3x divided by negative 3 is just x. And negative 18 divided by negative 3 is positive 6. Set that equal to 0. Now, remember, this dude, he comes down here as 2x. And then his new factor buddy right here is minus 3. So this becomes a factor. And then both of these are just one factor. So they both converge right here as the other factor pair, x plus 6. This equals 0. So this is the factored expression. We took 2x squared plus 9x minus 18 equals 0, and we factored it down to 2x minus 3 times x plus 6 equals 0. Okay? Now, when you do this, the first couple of times you do this, you should always take a moment, just the first couple of times, guys, not every time, to refoil or rebox this back together and make sure that you can get back your original quadratic. All right? So what we're going to do is just, for this one only, I might do it a couple of times, but first, outer, inner, last. Okay, so we're going to foil this back together using the crescent moon and make sure that we can get back that original quadratic. Before we solve it, we're going to make sure we did it right. So we have 2, this is the first, 2x times x plus outer 2x times 6 plus inner negative 3 times x plus last negative 3 times 6. We're going to make sure that we can get this thing back to where we started. So 2x times x is 2x squared plus 2x times 6 is 12x minus, say, because it's negative 3 times x, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. So we'll put negative 3x, and then negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. So let's combine this back together. These two middle terms will always be like terms. So let's do the math. 2x squared, and then 12x minus 3x is 9x. So that's plus 9x minus 18 equals 0. Okay. Just compare this. Make sure that this is exactly the same as this. Is it? 2x squared plus 9x minus 18. 2x squared plus 9x minus 18. That means you did it right. Okay? So now that you know you did it right, we are going to take these two factors right here, and we're going to solve this. So I'm going to bring these guys down here. My two factors were 2, oops, didn't write that. 2x minus 3 times x plus 6 equals 0. Now what you want to do is set each of these factors equal to 0. 2x minus 3 equals 0. And x plus 6 equals 0. And you want to solve them for the variable x. So 2x equals 3. Divide both sides by 2. So x equals 3 over 2. Okay, or 1.5. Okay, and then over here we'll do minus 6 on both sides. And I have x equals negative 6. So my two solutions are 3 over 2 and negative 6. All right, these are my two solutions. The question is, are these correct? Now, you already saw how to solve it by hand, but can we solve it using the graphing calculator? Okay, let's make sure that we did this right. So just go back to your original quadratic, 2x squared plus 9x minus 18. Let's pull up the TI-84, 2x squared plus 9x minus 18. And I'm just going to clear the memory. Second plus 7, 1, 2. And I'm going to go to y equals. And I'm going to type in 2x squared plus 9x minus 18. 2x squared plus 9x minus 18. And I'm going to graph it. Let's see where it crossed the x-axis. Well, here it's -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. That's one of them. And then the other one is halfway between 1 and 2, which looks like 1.5. So let's go look at our answers. Yep. So you see we have, remember 3 over 2 is actually 1.5. So we have 1.5 and -6. We verified it using the TI calculator. So we know that these are correct. Okay, we double check these. And we double checked using the TI calculator. All right. Wait a minute. I'm going. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, let me get the next one loaded up and set up. So that was that whole problem right there, number 23. Looks pretty cool, right? I'll let you guys look at that for a second. I have to call a student and make sure we're getting connected. So just take a break for just a second. I'm going to go off audio here. Give me a quick second. Hold on.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
I am back. Sorry about that. We just learned something here that if you have a Chromebook that you checked out to watch this on, you can't watch it. So that's what we learned just now. Sorry about the delay. Let's get back to work. Okay, let me just check the stream health while I'm doing this. All right, great. 84 numbers are just climbing. Let's get back to work, guys. So the next okay. All right. Okay. We're back. Sorry about that. Let's get back to work. So let's go to the homework, and we will go faster on this. So this is number 24 coming up. And let's paste this in here. Okay, here we go. Number 24. We've got 4x squared plus 17x plus 15 equals 0. Now, this is already in standard form, so we can just proceed. What we need to identify are A, B, and C. So A is 4, B is 17, and C is 15. That means that the master product, which is equal to A times C, is equal to 4 times 15, and 4 times 15 is 60. So the master product is 60. Okay, so now what we need are two numbers that add to equal B, which is 17, and those same two numbers need to multiply to equal 60. Now here's the good news, because the master product is positive and B is positive, then both of our factors are going to be positive. So our job is just to break down I should start with 1 times 60, because we never want to forget that one. And then that's 2 times 30, even though 1 is not a prime number. And then 2 times 15, 3 times 5. Okay? So here's our factor pairs. 1 times 60. I should say 1 and 60. And then 2 and 30. 4 and 15. And then 12 and 5. All right, they're both going to be positive, so all we have to do is add them up and find which one equals 17. 1 plus 60 is 61. 2 plus 30 is 32. 4 plus 15 is 19. And 12 plus 5 is 17. So these are my two factors right here, okay? 12 plus 5 and 12 times 5. That works just perfectly. So what we're going to do next is split the middle term and put the bigger number first, 12x plus 5x. And we're going to rewrite the quadratic as 4x squared plus 12x plus 5x plus 15 equals 0. And we'll group those like this. And then we'll play the greatest common factor game. So what are the numbers I can divide out? For this first one, I can divide out a 4x. And for this one, I can divide out a 5. So let me rewrite my situation here. I've got 4x, open parentheses. And then inside, I have x plus 3. Then on the outside of this one, I have plus 5, open parentheses, and then inside I have x plus 3, because 15 divided by 5 is 3. And that's all equal to 0, ladies and gentlemen. These are all just different forms of the same equation. Matter is neither created nor destroyed, same thing in mathematics. So here are my ultimate factors. I bring the 4x and the 5 together, and that just becomes 4x plus 5, and that is a factor. And then the other factor is x plus 3. Okay? Remember, don't write this twice. You just write this one time. Okay, so we're just going to solve this now. Oops. We're going to do 4x plus 5 equals 0 and x plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 5 on both sides. 4x equals negative 5. Divide by 4. X equals negative 5/4, or, because you know the TI calculator is going to give you the answer in decimal form, we should say negative 1 and 1/4, or negative 1.25. Okay. Over here we got minus 3 on both sides. So x equals negative 3. So we have negative 1.25 and negative 3. Those are our answers. Okay. These are our two solutions. Now we have to check them. So we'll go to the TI calculator to check them. 4x squared plus 17x plus 15. 4x squared plus 17x plus 15. Let's look at it graphed. All right, I can see one of the factors. Well, I don't even want to assume that. Let me show you exactly how to do this. Move that cursor over and then zoom in. Boom. So I see one of them is negative 3. That verifies one of my solutions. Now let's look at the other one. I can't really tell what that is, so I'm going to hit, let me clear the quadratic function, and now it's asking me for the left boundary. Start hitting the right arrow key, because what we're looking for is this guy right here. So move that little cursor until you're directly below the x-axis, but not above it. Hit enter. You make a little dotted line. Now move until you're above, clearly above the x-axis, like this. Now you've created a little boundary, and now it's going to guess, and it says the zero's at negative 1.25, okay? Here's another way you could check. Hit second window and change independent from auto to ask, and then go in here and hit second graph and type in negative 1.25. The output should be 0. There it is. And now type in, what was the other one? Negative 3. Type in negative 3. The output should be 0. There you go. So those are our zeros. Starting to understand what a 0 is. So, guys, that's how you do that problem. That was number 24. Okay? So let's see what's next. I'm guessing it's number 25, right? Here's number 25. Okay, let me paste this guy in here. Okay, so number 25. Ooh, this is going to be a fun one. So this is number 25, ladies and gentlemen. And what we're given is negative 3x squared plus 26x equals 16. Now, okay, we have a problem, right? The problem is this is not written in standard form. We need it to be written in ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form. The problem right now is this 16 is sitting over on the right side of the equal sign. So before we do anything else, we need to move that 16 by subtracting it or doing the inverse operation and moving that guy to the left side. So now I have negative 3x squared plus 26x minus 16 equals 0. And now that is in standard form. Okay? So now we can determine what A equals, B equals, C equals. So A equals negative 3, B equals 26, and C equals negative 16. Okay, let me make sure this is one that I assigned. Yeah, I did assign it. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, now let's figure out the master product. The master product, which we're calling MP, is equal to A times C. So that is negative 3 times negative 16. So even though both of those terms are negative, when they multiply together, they'll be positive. Okay, so I have no idea what 16 times 3 is because I'm not smart like some of you guys. So 6 times 3 is 18, carry the 1. Okay, so it's 48. So the master product, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, fellow countrymen, workers of the world, the master product A times C is positive 48. So what I'm looking for are two numbers that add to equal B, which is the middle term, okay, 26. And those same two numbers need to multiply to equal the master product, okay, which is 48. Okay, I strongly recommend that you follow this procedure of breaking down the number using the factor tree, because you won't ever go wrong doing this. Okay? So let's list all the different factors. 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 4 and 12, 8 and 6, 16 and 3. All right? Now, because the master product is positive, we know that both of them will have the same sign. And because B is positive, we know that both of them will be positive. So all we have to do now is just add these together and see which one of them equals 26. Okay, so 1 plus 48 equals 49. That's not going to work. 2 plus 24 equals 26. I can stop. So my two factors are 2 and 24. 2 plus 24 equals 26. 2 times 24 equals 48. So we're going to split that middle coefficient, put the big one first, 24x plus 2x. And now what we're going to do is rewrite the whole thing. Negative 3x squared plus 24x plus 2x minus 16 equals 0. Okay? Group them like this, and then perform the greatest common factor on both of these binomials. So here I can pull out a negative 3x from both of these, negative 3x. And over here I can pull out a 2. Okay? So now check this out. Now I've got negative 3x, open parentheses, x minus 8. And then on the outside of this dude over here, I've got positive 2, open parentheses, x minus 8. Here's the big key. Okay, I can't stress this enough. You need to, wanted to highlight that. You need to list the factors in order of their size. So the biggest one gets listed first. If you don't do it that way, you're going to associate these and you'll get them mixed up. So we did this correctly, because the way we know we did it correctly is that when we did our greatest common factor, we were able to get the same thing inside both of those binomials. So now when we write our new factored pair, it's negative 3x plus 2. That's one of them. And then the other one is x minus 8. All right? And if you don't believe me, it's always good to do negative 3x plus 2 and then x minus 8. Just check yourself, right? I used to say check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's not going to hurt you to just take a moment and redo this. Negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 24x minus 16. So you have negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 24x. Did I do that right? Minus 16. Yes, I did. Okay, so now I combine like terms here in the middle. Negative 3x squared plus 26x minus 16. And the good news is this matches the original standard form quadratic, and that's how we know we did everything right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just remove this over here, and I'll call that our check, just so we know that we checked our work and we know we're right. Doesn't it feel better to know that you're right? There's absolutely no ambiguity about it. Okay, so now all that's left to do is set both of these factors equal to 0 and solve for x. Okay, so negative 3x equals negative 2. And x equals 2/3. Here we have x minus 8 equals 0 plus 8 on both sides. X equals 8. Now remember, negative 2/3 is 0.6 repeating. So what I'm looking for are these two solutions when I check it in the TI. I'm looking for 0.6666666 and also 8. So let's go to TI and we're going to type in this whole thing. We're going to type in negative. We're going to type this whole thing in. Well, we're not going to type in the equals. Just going to type in this part. Negative 3x squared plus 26x minus 16. Okay. Negative 3x squared plus 26x minus 16. Isn't that right? Yep. Graph it. We can't see anything because we zoomed before. There. All right. So now we got to figure out where the zeros are. Recommendation is to try to zoom in a little bit. Maybe we'll zoom in too much. We'll see. Yeah, I zoomed in too much. So zoom out. That's fine. There, we can see both of them. Now, we're going to figure out where these things cross. And we're going to use that second. Let me clear the history here. We're going to hit second trace 2. And now we have to move this cursor to the left until we see that little dude right there. And we want to have the left boundary. So below the x-axis, hit enter. Right boundary above the x-axis, enter and enter. See, x equals 0.6666666. That's how you know you're right. So we just checked this one. Okay. We know that this dude right here is correct. We just double checked it in the TI. Now let's check the other one. Hit second trace 2. And now move this dude. You have to go all the way up. It's going to take a second. And now for this one, keep clicking to the right. It's going to show up again. Just keep clicking. It takes forever. There it is. Now, oops, one too far. Start right there. That's the left boundary. Hit enter. Creates that little dotted line. Go below the x-axis and hit enter again. Then hit enter again. X equals 8. So now we verified this one as well using the TI. Okay, and remember that second trace 2, looks like a Z, 2, which is 0. Okay. And then you want to set your left bound. Set your left bound. And your right bound. And then guess. All right. So that's the process to check. TI. And so you would not have been able to find this 0.6 repeating in your table because it's only showing, well, hang on. Let me fix this back. It's only going to show us integer values of x. So you're only going to find that 8 there. You're not going to find 0.6 repeating in this list because you're looking for the x value. You're not going to find it. So that's why you have to use second trace 0. Okay? So that's how you solve that one. Number 25. Let me let you guys get caught up. Okay. We got rid of Bob. We don't need any of that in this here. I don't know who that was. Whoever that was. Hang on a second. Okay. I don't know what was going on there, guys. I'm trying to do work, and I don't know what you guys are doing here. I guess that was a troll. That happens occasionally, guys. I'll try to keep a better monitor on what is going on. What I'll try to do is there a free TI app for the Chromebook? There might be. Okay. I don't know. That's a great question. I'm sure that there are. We'd have to go into the Chrome store and see. Yeah, I agree, Sheridan. I don't know who that was. Honestly, some troll. Because this is an open forum. You know what this is making me think is what I need to figure out how to do. And see, this is just my ignorance. I don't know enough about YouTube to know how to do an unlisted live stream. But when I do figure it out, guys, this will become an unlisted live stream, just so you know. Okay. Yeah. Student guest. Absolutely. We'll try to find out. I'll email John and, John, TI guy, the IT guy, and we'll see if we can get something set up. Well, what I would suggest that you use is like on your phone. If you have a phone, like an Android phone, download this app, okay? Wabbit. This is only for Android, okay? For Android users, Wabbit Emu. Now, for iPhone users, I have a whole bunch of recommendations. Let me give you some recommendations, guys. Some of these require that you pay, but you can check them all out. So this is for iPhone because that's what I have. Here's the ones that I use for iPhone. You can try all of these and pick the one that you like the best. One's called Calculator X, and these might be there in the Google Play Store, but I don't know. Calculator X. All right. That's one. Also try T-Acculator, like that. Taculator. These are all TI emulators. And then Calculate 84. Now let me open them all up and tell you which one I like the best. So, So I don't really like this one very much. Not much. It's just because it looks kind of, it does all the things. It works, and I think it's free. Can't remember, but it's kind of sucks, like the layout. Now, Taculator. This is the one I recommend. Okay, this is the best one. This one basically looks exactly like the TI. This is the best for iPhone. All right. I can't remember. I think it's free. So Taculator for iPhone. And if you can get it on the Wabbit Emu or on Android, or Taculator on iPhone. Let me look at the other one. Calculate 84. Yeah, this one you have to. Okay, this one also looks pretty good. This one looks, I can't remember which one is free, but one of these, whichever is free, one of them is free. So it's either this one or this one. These are great. Taculator and Calculate 84. For Android, I know Wabbit Emu is good, or I would try to search for Taculator or Calculate 84 on the Android Google Play Store and see which one you get. All right, so let me go back to live chat. I have no idea for Chrome extensions. I'd have to look into that. Okay. Yeah. I just don't. Okay, Jay, I have no idea how to. I want to check it because I know I tried it once before. And when I made the stream unlisted to try to do a tutorial with the student, that student couldn't get the tutorial. Now, it's possible that they couldn't get it because I had the wrong stream key in OBS, but I didn't want to mess with it tonight. Which one is free, Evan? Can you post which one is free? Okay, let's get back to work. Okay, so we did number 23, 24, and 25. Let's do number 26. Okay. Okay, let's see, 26. Negative 2x squared plus 13x equals 15. All right. Let me just check. I want to make sure I'm using the, because I heard this playlist switch over. Okay, well, these are all no copyright. Good. Okay, so let's solve this. Now, this is not currently in standard form, and we need it to be in standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Evan. So Taculator, guys. If you have an iPhone, Taculator, it's gonna make your life better. All right, because it looks just like the one we use in class. Okay, so now we just need to subtract 15 from both sides and rewrite the quadratic. Negative 2x squared plus 13x minus 15 equals 0. Oh, they're both free? I had no idea. Awesome. That's wonderful. Okay, so now we need to identify A, B, and C. So A is negative 2, B is 13, and C is negative 15. Okay. Now we have to figure out what the master product is. And I'll just keep writing this because I want you guys to get it in your head that the master product is equal to A times C. So A is negative 2 and C is negative 15. So the master product, MP, is equal to positive 30. That means we're looking for two numbers that equal 13. Those same two numbers multiply to equal 30. Now, this one's kind of jumping out at me. 3 and 10, right? So 3 plus 10 is 13. 3 times 10 is 30. So this one we can kind of do fast. But we got to be careful, okay? So what we're going to do is split this, and we're going to associate the 10x and then do plus 3x. Let's rewrite the whole thing. Negative 2x squared plus 10x plus 3x minus 15 equals 0. Okay? Remember, you put the big number first and then the little number. And don't forget those x's. Let's do a little bit of greatest common factoring here. Okay, so what can we pull out of this? We're going to pull out a negative 2x. And over here, I'm going to pull out a 3. Okay? I hope you guys are getting the hang of this. So what I'm going to do is do this. Negative 2x, open parentheses. Inside I'll have x minus 5. Because that's what happens when you divide negative 2x squared by negative 2x. You get x. And then 10x divided by negative 2x is negative 5. Because 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. And x divided by x is 1. All right, so now we do plus 3, open parentheses, and then inside we have x minus 5. Same thing, okay? Such a cool achievement to get this. All right, so now we're going to, remember, bring this guy here and that guy over here. And so this is now negative 2x plus 3, and that's a factor. And then these are just one factor, x minus 5, okay? And that equals 0. Okay, so we just set negative 2x plus 3 equal to 0 and x minus 5 equal to 0. Subtract 3 on both sides, and you get negative 2x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by negative 2. So x equals 3 over 2. Or 1.5, and then we add 5 to both sides here. So x equals 5. So what I want to do is I want to write it as a solution set, 1.5 comma 5. So that's how you write solution set with those little curly brackets. So let's go check these in TI just so we can make sure that we're right. And you guys can be using Calculator or Calculate 84. So we're going to go to y equals and put in this, just this part. Okay, make sure it's in standard form before you do it. So negative 2x squared plus 13x minus 15. I might have to look at that again. Negative 2x squared plus 13x minus 15. Okay, and we'll graph it. Awesome. Let me just make sure I entered it correctly. Yep. Okay, so we graph it, and what we're going to do is jump in here and look. Okay, we're just going to verify. Zoom in. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could use second trace 2. I'll show that for this first one. You're going to have to hit the left arrow a bunch. Like, you could take you a minute to do it. There. Left bound, right bound, solve. So my 0 is at 1.5. Let me show you another way to do it. So you could do that for the other one as well. But you could also hit second window, change independent from auto to ask, then go to second graph and just test your answers. So when you put your answers in, they should give you a y value of 0. So 1.5, let's just type it in and hit enter. 1.5, enter. Gives us 0. What was the other one? 3? Oh, no, it couldn't have been 3. What was it? 5. Sorry about that. 5. Enter. Okay, it gives 0. And you could also stick fractions in here. So you could put in a fraction of 3 over 2. Right? That was how 1.5 looked, and it would still give you 0, okay? So that's how, I mean, remember though, remember how you did that. You hit second window and you change the independent variable from auto to ask. So make sure you change it back to auto. Otherwise, when you hit second graph, it's going to be blank. So you want to change it back to auto. I'm going to go ahead and clear all the memory. Second plus 7, 1, 2. And clear the key press history. So the next time we come back to this, it's all ready to go. Okay, here comes. So these are right. We checked it on the TI. We double checked it. Okay. Yay. Let me show you all of that one. That was kind of an easy one because we didn't have to factor the number. We were just able to see it. Let me check how everybody's doing. Good job, Jay. Oh, I'm just seeing a whole bunch of stuff here. Somewhat means not completely. You got it on your own, Sheridan. Good job. I'm so proud of you. You're in between good and great. Okay. I understand, guys. I'm all I'm all tired too. But let's do this. Let's do one more. Okay, and then we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, let's do one more. We can do one more. We can always do one more. What number are we on? I can't even remember. What did we just do? I am losing my mind. Oh, we just did number 26, so we're going to do number 27. Let's get this knocked out real quick. Watch it be like astonishingly difficult. Okay, oops. Okay. So now we're on to number 27. And I'll zoom in and rewrite it all for you. Okay, so number 27. Negative 3x squared plus 5x equals negative 2. All right, the problem with this guy, okay, is that he's not in standard form. We need him to be in ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form. Plus 5x plus 2 equals 0. So now I'm in standard form. So let's do it. A equals B equals C equals. A is negative 3. B is 5. C is 2. So the master product, MP, is equal to A times C, which is equal to negative 3 times 2, which is equal to negative 6. Now, because the master product, okay, because the master product is a negative number, we know that the signs of our factors will be different, okay? So this might present a little bit of a challenge for us. Now, let's look at the B value. So because B is a positive number, the bigger number will be positive. Okay, so let's keep all that in mind as we do our trick. So here comes the trick. Something plus something has to add to equal the middle term, or B value, which is 5, and then it has to multiply to equal the master product of negative 6. Okay, so let's think about it, guys. Let me show you. I know I know you're getting it. Okay, so here, 1 and 6. Now, the bigger number has to be positive. Okay, so there's your factors right there. Negative 1 plus 6 is positive 5. Okay, negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. So negative 1 and 6. Negative 1 and 6. So split the middle and put the 6x there and put the negative 1x here. Okay, always do the bigger term first. Now, let's rewrite it in order. Negative 3x squared plus 6x minus 1x plus 2 equals 0. These go in brackets. And now we play greatest common factor game. This is everybody's favorite game. Remember, we want the inside to be the same. So here I'm going to pull out a negative 3x. And here I'll pull out a negative 1. Okay, so off to the left here I'll have negative 3x, open parentheses, x minus 2, close parentheses. And then I'll have minus 1, open parentheses, x minus 2, close parentheses, equals 0. So let's list it out. Negative 3x minus 1, that's a factor. And then x minus 2 is a factor. Set both factors equal to 0 and solve for both of them. X. Okay. Add 1 to both sides. Negative 3x equals 1. Divide by negative 3. x equals negative 1/3. Some of you are already telling me what it is as a decimal, negative 0.3 repeating. And now I add 2 to both sides. X equals 2. Okay, so my solution set here is negative 0.3 repeating, comma, 2. So let's go to the TI and check that, and we'll be done in a jiffy. Negative 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. Negative 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. Negative 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. Graph it. And now what we're going to do is zoom in about halfway in between the 2 points. Oh, I meant to hit zoom in. There we go. And now I'm going to use I'll do both methods, okay? I'm going to do second trace 2. And then I'll hit that left bound. You just keep hitting the left arrow until I move this guy all the way down. There we go. Left bound, right bound, solve. So negative 0.3 repeating. What do we think? Negative 0.3 repeating. So this guy is correct. And then we'll check the other one using the other method I taught you, which is second window, change independent from auto to ask, and then hit second graph and just type in what you think the answer is. Okay. You could also type in negative 0.33333 like this, and it should give us something close to 0. There you go. You could also have hit alpha y equals enter and put in negative 1/3, and that would give you 0 as well. So many different ways to check the answer there. Okay, so these are both correct. We are ready to certify that. You know what we haven't been doing all night is putting a red box around a correct answer. So I'll start that now. Okay, let me zoom out so you can get all this written down if I went too fast there. Okay. Now I'm gonna take here. Let me write this in some cool font. Let's break for about 5 minutes. Okay, maybe back at around 8:10 to 8:12. Okay. Good job, people. let's get back to it. We'll knock the rest of these out in no time. No. Okay, here we go. Where are we at? Number 27 we finished. Number 28 or whatever the next one is. Number 28. Oops. Hit the wrong button. Number 28. Here we go. All right. This is the last one from this part of the set. I guess I can erase this. And guys, I want to thank everybody who's been here tonight. You are really accelerating your math education. It's really, really astonishing to me that students would voluntarily join a multi-hour nightly homework lab. I feel like this is something that if all teachers had this kind of technology to work with, that it's something that, you know, can you just imagine if all your classes had this component associated with it where your teacher would hop on and show you how to do the problems, you know? I think it would be great. So this one's negative 4x squared plus 19x plus 30 equals 0. So A equals negative 4. B equals 19. And C equals 30. You know, this class is kind of a lab to show the district that what we can do with technology. So the master product for this one, which is A times C, equals negative 4 times 30, which is negative 120. Okay, so now keep this in mind as we do this, because the master product is negative, we'll have different signs for our factors. So it'll be plus and minus, okay? And because B is positive, the biggest one, the biggest factor will be positive, all right? So let's do the game. Pardon me, let's do the game. This has to equal 19 and multiply to equal the master product of negative 120. So what I want to do for this one is break down 120 because it's a big number. And we'll do 1 times 120. And then we'll do 2 times 60, 2 times 30, 2 times 15, and 3 times 5. Okay? So let's list out all of our possible factor pairs. 1 and 120, 2 and 60, 4 and 30, 8 and 15, and 24 and 5. Okay? So here's the deal. The bigger, they're going to have different signs, and the biggest factor will be positive. So let's go put a plus sign here, plus sign, plus sign, plus sign, plus sign. And then we'll give minus signs to the smaller numbers. And let's add them together and see what we get. Okay, so negative 1 plus 120 is negative 119. Well, that's not negative 120. Wait a minute. I just want to check something here. Yeah. So, oh, sorry. We want them to add to be 19. So that's not 19. Negative 2 plus 60 is negative 58. That's not 19. Negative 4 plus 30. Well, that is positive. Wait a minute. I'm doing the wrong sign here. So that's 119, positive 58, and then this is positive 26, but that's not 19. I think this one might work. Negative 8 plus 15. No, that won't work because 15 minus 8 is 7. Hell, look at this one, though. 24 minus 5. Guess what that is? That's 19. So our factors are 24 and negative 5. Okay, because 24 plus negative 5 is 19. 24 times negative 5 is 120. So let's go split the middle term. Put the big one first. So you'll have 24x and negative 5x. We're going to rewrite this whole thing. Negative 4x squared plus 24x minus 5x plus 30 equals 0. I don't know about this music. Hang on a second. Let me change the music. I just know this is clean. So I'm going to play this again. I haven't checked the other ones. Okay. So let's group these now. Group, 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 group. And we're going to play our little game called Greatest Common Factor. Okay. So what can I pull out here? A negative 4x. Negative 4x. And out of here, I can pull out a negative 5. So out to the left, I'll have negative 4x. And I'll have open parentheses. And then inside, I'll have, let's see, x minus 6. Yeah. And then I'll have negative 5 out in front. Open parentheses. X minus 6. It worked. Yay. Oops. Equals 0. Okay. Negative 4. X minus 5. That's one factor pair. And then x minus 6. That's another factor pair equals 0. So negative 4x minus 5 equals 0. And x minus 6 equals 0. Let me add 5 to both sides here. Negative 4x equals 5. Divide both sides by negative 4. X equals negative 5 fourths. Or you could say x equals negative 1.25. Here I'll just add 6 to both sides. And I have x equals 6. So my solution set here is negative 1.25, comma 6. And of course we want to check it in TI or in Calculator if you're using your own phone. And remember, we're going to put in the standard form there. Negative 4x squared plus 19x plus 30. Okay. Negative 4x squared plus 19x plus 30. And we make sure that that's correct. Negative 4x squared plus 19x plus 30. Yep. Let's graph it. And we got it zoomed correctly. Let me fix the zoom. This is from the previous problem. Okay, so there's my two cross points. Now look, we could just go ahead and check our answers by hitting second window. Make sure we've set independent from auto to ask. Then hit second graph. Oh, clear this stuff out. Let me just go down here. And then let's type in what we think the answers are. We think the answers are negative 1.25 and 6. Okay, so we should be able to put in negative 1.25 and get 0. And we should be able to put in 6 and get 0. And remember, you could have just put in the fraction itself. And that was negative 5 fourths. So it could put in negative 5 over 4. Okay. And that would give me 0. The other way I could have done it is second trace 2. And then I could have done this. I'll just do one of them just so you know. Left bound, right bound, enter. Negative 1.25. I guess I'll do the other one. Okay. Here's the other one coming up. You got to kind of hit it a bunch. Here it comes. Whoop, 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 whoop. Come back, bro. Left bound, right bound, enter. 6. Okay. There you go. So now we know these are right. There we go. And we've got to put the red box there. Oops. That is not what I wanted to do at all. We need to put the red box around this because it's correct. What did Jay call it? He called it the box of achievement or the box of confidence or something. There we go. The box of certainty or certitude. Okay, very good. So that was the last problem from that grouping. And let me zoom out so you can see everything if you're wanting to see the whole thing. Okay, I'm noticing a little lag on my computer. If it crashes, I'll just reload it. Let me check the stream health and everything. Yeah, we should have a campaign for educational technology. I'm just seeing a bunch of this. You guys are hilarious. Wait a minute. We can graph them? Yes, we can graph them. That's an actual lesson. We'll learn how to graph them tomorrow. You guys are funny. Yes, Matt, if teachers would do this, you wouldn't even need to come to school. But coming to school is really the fun part, you know. The box of correctness. Excuse me. The box of correctness. Okay. So we are deigning this to be the box of correctness. I love it. And I can tell just based on the way my computer's working, it might crash. Okay. All right, let's take a second and kind of get set where we are. Figure out what we need to do next. See how it's going slow? It makes me worry that it's about to crash. That's why I'm getting another one, because this thing, it's just too buggy for me to rely on it. Okay. OneNote is a huge program, though. It really chews up a ton of memory. So even though this thing has, I think, 16 megabytes of RAM, it really should have 32. But the Surface Pro doesn't ship with 32 megs of RAM, otherwise, or gigs of RAM. I keep saying megs, 32 gigs of RAM. Otherwise, I would have got it. But still, honestly, it should be okay at 16. I just think it's getting too hot. So I set it upright for a second so the back of it could cool off. What's happening there when it gets really hot, the CPU just starts having all kinds of internal errors. So let's check what's next. Okay, we're going to do number 30. Oh, this is one of the word problems. Okay. These are tricky, but this is actually one that would be like a star type question, only you wouldn't have one maybe this hard on the star test. You'd have a picture, and we're going to pull the parachute and look at a picture here so I can give you guys a peek at graphing. Here goes my favorite song, like this song. Okay, paste. Come on, bro, paste. Okay, so number 36. Let's just read it. Ben dives from a 36-foot platform. Ouch. Okay. The equation h equals negative 16t squared plus 14t plus 36 models the dive. How long will it take Ben to reach the water? Here's my advice. Let's draw a picture of this. And then we're going to put it in the calculator. Okay. I really wanted that to be black. Oh, that was easy. All right. So remember, time is always independent. So this is time. This problem is kind of silly because it doesn't tell us how much time, but I'm guessing in seconds. And so that means that the y-axis would actually be the height of this dude, Ben. Okay. And I'm going to guess, yeah, it tells us this one's in feet. Okay. So this is the h-axis for height, and this is the t-axis for feet. Now look here. Because this leading coefficient is a negative number, that a value is negative, that means that the quadratic is going to be like a downward slope. Okay? Now here's the deal. The 36, that's the c value. Okay? This is the y-intercept. Okay? We could also call this the h-intercept, since this doesn't have a y-axis. Okay? So where this graph intersects the h-axis is at 36. Okay? So he dives from a 36-foot platform, and this equation models the dive. We want to know, okay, I have no idea, but let me just sketch this in. I think this dude, he's taking off, right? And so if you were diving and you were at 36 right here, okay? This is where he starts. I think he's going to jump off the diving board, and it's going to be one of these deals. Boom! All right, and that's the water. In other words, he'd be at 0 feet above the water, and we want to know what is the x, or we call it x or t intercept. Okay, right there. Okay, so here's how we're going to solve this problem. We're not going to use a calculator. We can do it without a calculator, I think. I want to show you how to do it without a calculator, and then I'll show you how to do it with a calculator, okay? Oh, should I show it? I should just show it with a calculator. I'm just, I know you guys are getting tired. So I'm going to show it with a calculator. We're just going to go and plug this thing into, we're going to plug this whole expression into our graphing calculator here. So it's negative 16, and we'll have to write negative 16x squared plus 14x plus 36. So negative 16x squared plus 14x. Here we go. Negative 16x squared plus 14x. We're just replacing t with x here. And then plus 36. Okay. Now let's graph it. All right. Now I want to change the dimensions of this graph so it looks like our picture that we made. So I'm going to change the window settings. We don't need to see negative values, so we'll set x min to 0. We'll put x max at 10 because he definitely wasn't in the air for more than 10 seconds. And then the y min is also 0. And the y max, we'll put it above 36. We'll put it at 40 feet. Okay? Now watch what happens when I click this. Boom. Okay? So what we can even change, we want to know what this value is right here. Okay? See, this is him diving. Boom. Okay? So we're going to find out what this value is here. So hit second, trace 2. And then we're going to have to show more of the graph, aren't we? Let me see if we can do this without it. I don't know that we might have to change the view. Hang on. I think I messed it up by showing this window view differently. Okay, let me fix this. I have to change the window back. There. I need to see this 0 right here, okay? So second, trace 2. Let's go down here. and put our left bound just above the x-axis and then the right bound below the x-axis. And let's see what it is. It says x is 2. So what that means is he's going to hit the water 2 seconds after he dives off the diving board. All right? So the answer is, here's how you'd write the answer. Ben will reach the water in 2 seconds. All right, that's how you did that problem there. And we solved the whole thing on the TI calculator. So that's how we figured that out. And we used the TI. And that was fine, okay? It's even easier on Desmos. Okay, that was number 30. Okay, so we're almost done. Is this where I put all the questions? Number 31. Okay, number theory. Ooh. That was a cool problem, right? It was like a real world type problem. Okay, so that was number 30. Here's number 31. Come on. Paste. There we go. Okay. So we're going to have to convert this into like math language. Let me see if I can set the computer back down again. It's a little bit easier to do this when the computer is laying down. All right. So here's what we're going to write. We're going to have to translate 6 times the square of a number. So what that means is 6 times the square of a number x. So that would be 6 times x squared plus 11 times the number, which was x, squared plus 11x equals 2. Well, this looks more comfortable now. It's not in standard form, but that's, we just need to get this into ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form. So we'll just subtract 2 from both sides. Okay, so now we have 6x squared plus 11x minus 2 equals 0. All right. Now we're going to have to do all of our stuff now. So let's say A equals B equals C equals. Well, let's see. A equals 6. Whoa. A equals 6. B equals 11. And C equals -2. Okay. So what's the master product? The master product is equal to A times C, which is equal to 6 times -2, which equals -12. Okay? So what we're looking for, ladies and gentlemen, are two numbers that add to equal B, which is 11, and those same two numbers have to multiply to equal the master product of -12. Now, because C is negative, we're going to have different signs, and the biggest one is going to be positive because B is positive. And that analysis is really important, so I'm going to stress that again and again and again. All right? Because the master product is negative, you're going to have different signs. But because B is positive, the biggest one will be positive. All right? So just keep that in mind as we do this. So what we're going to do is, watch this. This is easy. We're going to take 12 and write 1 and 12. Remember, they're going to have different signs, but the biggest number is going to be positive. So I'm going to put a plus sign in front of the 12 and a minus sign in front of the 1. And check this out. -1 plus 12 is 11. Negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. So those are my factors, negative 1 and 12. Negative 1 and 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to split this middle coefficient, put the big number first, 12x and minus 1x, and then we're going to go back and rewrite this. 6x squared plus 12x minus 1x minus 2 equals 0. And what I'm going to do is put these in, I want them to be red. That's scaring me because I had selected the red color. This is usually what happens before the thing crashes. Okay, put them in parentheses. And we're going to play our game, which is greatest common factor. Okay, so let's see. I can pull a 6x out of this. And over here I can pull out a negative 1. So out front I'll write 6x, open parentheses, and then x plus 2. And then I'll have negative 1, open parentheses, and then look at this, x plus 2. Oh, the colors didn't keep up with me. This is usually something that happens before this thing freezes. So this was supposed to be red. And this is supposed to be black. X, see? I chose the black color, but it didn't change to black. X plus 2. This should be red. Good. Equals 0. All right. So we're going to rewrite this now. These two guys come hang out together over here. 6x minus 1. That's a factor. Times. Okay. One of these. Okay. X plus 2. All right. So all we have to do is solve these and we'll have our two possible values for x. Okay, so I'll add 1 to both sides. And I've got 6x equals 1. Divide both sides by 6. X equals 1/6. And then minus 2 over here. X equals negative 2. So my two values are 1/6 and negative 2. And we'll be able to verify that in the TI. We'll just put this standard form equation right here. 6x squared plus 11x minus 2. I want to clear the memory because I messed with a bunch of stuff. And then I'll put in 6x squared plus 11x minus 2. 6x squared plus 11x minus 2. And we'll graph that. Awesome. And what we want to do is just check our values. All right, we already got the values, 1/6 and negative 2. Remember when we plug them in, they should produce y values of 0. That's because they're called zeros. So what I'm going to do is I'll use this one this time. Multiple solving methods. I'll use this one. Change the independent from auto to ask under second window. So you hit second window, change independent from auto to ask, and then hit second graph. And it's blank, right? It wants you to give it something. So we're going to give it 1/6 and see if it spits out a 0. So hit alpha y equals, enter, 1/6, and it gives a 0. That means it's right. So this is correct. And now let's try negative 2. Negative 2, enter. Gives us a 0. So those were the two answers. Great. Excellent. Verified. And this is the box of correctness. Okay, coming up. We'll get this here. Put it in a box. Awesome. And so that was number, whoa, see how slow It's scaring me. Here, let me set it up right. I'm really afraid it's going to crash. Okay, that was number 31. Okay, let you guys look at that for a second while I check the stream health. I think we have one more. Wait a minute. Where did you get -12? Where do you get -12? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so where did I get -12? That's a great question. All right, let me answer that question here. I didn't see that earlier. Sorry about that. So the question was, where did this guy come from? Right? Okay, it's a good question. Okay, so that -12, that is what we call the master product. Okay, -12 is the master product. And that doesn't really tell you where we got it. I'm going to tell you where we got it. That's what it is. Okay, where do we get it? Well, here's how we got it, Sheridan. We took A, which was 6, and we multiplied it by -2. Okay, so we took A. Really worried about that because we took A, which was 6. Remember, A equals 6, and C equals -2. Well, the master product is equal to A times C. So we just say 6 times -2 equals -12. Okay? And that's the master product. And so that's where we got -12. Okay? Why? Why are we doing that? Well, okay, here's why. The reason we're doing that is because this leading coefficient is not 1. It's a 6. And so when the leading... Oh, you're okay. It's getting late. I understand. Did I answer your question? Let me ask. Do you understand now? Okay, we're almost done, guys. I think there's only one more to do. Let me check. Yeah, just this guy right here. Then we're done. And all that delta math homework isn't due until Friday. Okay, and even I could give you until Monday to do it. I'm not worried about that. I'm just really impressed with you guys for sticking this out. It makes me proud. Okay. It really shows me that you care when you stick around this much. Okay, so we're going to figure this guy out. We'll use technology to help us, okay? So Fernando is making a stained glass design using the triangle shown below. The area of the triangle is 48 square inches. What is the height of the triangle? Okay, so let's remember this. Let's take our time here, okay? So the area of a triangle is equal to the base of the triangle times the height divided by 2. Right? Do we agree? So we are given the base of the triangle as B. Okay, we're also given the area. See, here's the area right here. It says the area is 48 square inches. All right, so the area is 48. Let's plug in what they give us. 48 is equal to, and then it tells us the base is B times the height, which is 3B minus 2. Okay, and we're getting that from right here. Okay, this is the base, and this is the height. Okay, and all of that is divided by 2. Now I'm going to tell you something. Pardon me. It would be helpful to pull this 48 out. I mean, to pull the, instead of writing B times 3B minus 2 over 2, it would be helpful to write it as 1/2 times B times 3B minus 2. Like that. So let's just keep working. We got to do the inside parentheses first. So 48 equals 1/2 times, and then we'll distribute, multiply this dude inside. Okay, so we get 3b squared minus 2b. All right, so let's keep going. Now we're going to distribute this 1/2 inside the parentheses. So we have 48 equals 3 over 2b squared minus 2 over 2b. Let's simplify that a little bit further. 48 equals 3 over 2 b squared minus, and then 2 over 2 is 1, so we can say b squared minus b. Now, this is starting to look like a quadratic. You see? It's not in standard form, though. We need to move this guy over to this side. All right, so that 0 is over here. We want 0 to be here. So let's do that. The way we're going to do that is by subtracting 48 from both sides. Okay, minus 48 on both sides. So now I've got 0 equals 3 over 2 b squared minus b minus 48. Now, that is exactly the same thing. I can reverse the order there, and I can write, like, basically what I'm about to do, guys, is I'm going to move the equal sign and the 0. I'm going to move it over to the other side. I'm going to flip it, so I put that all over here, okay? So I'm just going to write 3 over 2 b squared minus b minus 48 equals 0. And you better believe we're just going to stick this in the calculator, okay? Because it's late, and you know what I'll do for this final one? I'll show you on Desmos. So we're just going to stick this in there. So let's go to Desmos. 3/2 b squared minus, I'll have to look at it again. So let's go to Desmos. You could put this in TI, but we haven't played with Desmos tonight, and Desmos is really the future. Man, it's going slow. No. Hope it doesn't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. really should not be taking that long. Okay, 110 playbacks. That's great. All right, here we go. Okay, last one, guys. We're almost done. So, oops. 3 halves b squared minus b minus 48. Here we go. So we're going to type in 3 halves. And we'll have to use x squared minus x minus 48. Okay, minus x minus 48. All right, now what does it want to know? What is the height of the triangle? Okay, so what I think it wants us to do is solve for b, get both values of b, and then plug it in for the height. Okay? So we need to get our solutions. Our solutions are negative 5 1/3 and 6. So when these types of problems, let me get this copied into our OneNote so you can see this. What? That's weird. Never mind. I got a better idea. I'll just screenshot it. You zoom out a little bit here and get this clicked. And let me double tap this here. All right. So I really only need this part. Let me paste this into Desmos. Okay, so here are our two solutions. Now here's the deal. Yes, these are both solutions. Okay, so this is a solution, and so is the 6. We don't need to consider negative values because this is distance. All right, so we only care about this one. We only need this one. So what we want to do is plug that into 3b minus 2. Okay? So what we want to, the height, remember, they want us to know the height. So the height is equal to 3b minus 2. So if b equals 6, then 3 open parentheses, and we're going to stick that 6 in there, which is b, minus 2 equals the height. So what is 3 times 6? 3 times 6 is 18. 18 minus 2 equals 16. So that's the answer. Okay? We can go back up here and say the height equals 16 inches. And we'll put that in a red box and we'll call it a night on this. Okay? That's it. There's your homework. Done. Excellent job. So let me zoom out a little bit on that problem so you can see the whole thing, how we did that. And then we'll take a look at all the work we did so we can marvel at our work. Okay. Done. That was so much work. Oh, wow. That was fun, though. Okay, so another 3-hour live stream done. How long has this live stream been going on? I don't even know. How long have have I been streaming? I've been streaming for, oh, it says here 2 hours and 11 minutes, but I restarted that once. So, okay, so we've had 110 playbacks. That's great. Yes, finally. Okay. Wow. I am so proud of you, Matt and Sheridan, Jay, everyone who was here. Great job, guys. Please get some rest, and you can be happy in knowing you all just made 100s. And I hope you learned how to do factoring by grouping. With this kind of dedication, you will succeed at everything you pursue. Everyone, get some rest. Thank you. Good night to all. I just show you before we go, you can see all the work. Wow. That is a lot. So we'll just scroll through it and then I'll head off the stream. So here they all are. 28. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. And I look forward to seeing, it didn't crash. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. At this time, I'm going to be ending the stream. So everybody get to bed. It's 9 o'clock. See you tomorrow. I am out. Bye.